Well, welcome everybody. It's nice to see faces not covered by masks, and it's good to see everybody healthy and well. I'd like to welcome everybody, and we have a couple of guests this morning. And I believe we have public comment next on the agenda. So, do we have anybody signed up? I believe we have people signed up for a public comment. Mr. Woodbury, you're one of them.
I was, and it's for, if I read the agenda correctly, Madam Chair, this item is for those items on the agenda.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
I can't hear you, sir.
I apologize. This is for items on the agenda,
Yes,
and then there's a public comment period at the bottom.
that is correct.
That was when I would like to take the opportunity to address the board.
Fine.
Thank you.
Are there any other guests who would like to address the board on matters on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. May I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the February 17th meeting, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed. Mr. Solicitor, do we have any items from the executive session?
No, Madam Chairman, we had two informational and executive sessions. One was on February 11th, or sorry, March 11th. We reviewed the borrowing, the pending borrowing, the continuing litigation regarding various aspects of the hospital takeover attempt. We reviewed some responses from the right to know law cases. We had an executive session and informational session prior to today's meeting when we talked about the pension plan and the OPEB plan, the same with litigation issues and personnel issues. But there are no action items for those that matter today.
Thank you. Would you please continue with your solicitor's report for today?
So we began discussing the latest impact to the pension and OPEB plan. What we'll do is we'll continue that evaluation, considering the performance of stock market in the past couple of months. What the board's doing is studying its present adopted expected rate of return, and we're going to receive information from the professionals on the pension plan as to whether we should consider changing that. But there's no report other than to let everyone know that we're reviewing that now. We'll review it prior to the next meeting. If there's any action necessary, we'll adopt it then. Periodically, what the board does is it evaluates the actual result that we earn on a percentage basis on the investments, and we receive that advice from our professionals about whether we need to change that based upon what our actual experience is. And in the current environment, we'll also evaluate our asset allocation. I think we're 70-30 or 60-40 now, but we'll receive advice on that between now and the next meeting, and we'll have further comments after the next meeting and possible action.
Thank you, sir.
Nothing further.
Thank you.
But I do have something under new business 12. So.
Okay. You have in front of you the Chief Financial Officer's report with a request for the ratification of expenditures and wires. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on the Financial Officer's report? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote? Mr. D'Agostino, will you do that for me, please?
Yes. Mr. Andrew?
Yes.
Mr. Brandon?
Yeah.
Mr. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Leitzel?
Yes.
Dr. Lewis West?
Yes.
Mr. McGinn?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Shelton?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the Director of Engineering report, Mr. Forney. Mr. Forney, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Forney? We have in front of us two requests, items A and B, and may I have a motion to approve items A and B?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions on those two items for Mr. Carney? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Andrew,
Yes.
Mr. Brandon, Mr. Butler,
Yes.
Mrs. Lightsell,
Yes.
Dr. Lewis West,
Yes.
Mr. McGinn,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next on the agenda, before I ask for a motion, as you can see on the agenda is the proposed retirement of our executive manager, Robert Judge. We're all sorry that you're retiring, but wish you the best going forward. You've led us through some tumultuous times, and we certainly all appreciate all of your efforts on our behalf of the board and the citizens of Delaware County and Chester County.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I did have any gray hair when I started.
I remember you when. So,
Yes, I know.
And then.
so you have a motion. I'm sorry. We have in front of you the request for 3 pensions, items A, B, and C. May I have a motion to approve them, including Mr. Judge's?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
May I have any comments or questions? Mike, may we have a roll call, vote, please?
Mr. Andrew,
Come back.
Come back.
Mr. Brandon, Mr. Butler,
Yes.
Mrs. Lightsell,
Yes.
Dr. Lewis West,
Yes.
Mr. McGinn, Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Andrew Hall.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Motion
you,
carries.
Mr. Carey. Appreciate it. And once again, Bob, we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You have in front of you the executive manager's report. I'd like a motion to approve items A and D.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions regarding this for the executive manager? Seeing none or hearing none, may we have a roll call vote on items A and B?
Mr. Andrew Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Brandon, Mr. Butler,
Yes.
Mrs. Lightsell,
Yes.
Dr. Lewis West,
Yes.
Mr. McGinn,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next on the agenda is item C. Mr. Judge, would you like to address this, please?
Yes, thank you. I'm coming closer so that the other board members can hear. Thank you for the kind words, Madam Chair and board members. I would like to recommend Dave Kubiak to be the executive manager of the Chester Water Authority effective April 30th, 2022. Mr. Kubiak is 40 years of service at Chester Water Authority, 34 years of that time being the director of distribution. And in the last year, almost year, he has been the chief operations officer. Over my time at Chester Water Authority, I have had more than daily conversations with Dave about the operations of the authority and the work and the employees. Dave has a degree in engineering, civil engineering from Drexel University, and is extremely knowledgeable about water operations, and specifically Chester Water Authority. He knows where all the pipes are and where they break.
I thought you were doing
I was
something
going to
else.
say that. Yes, no, not where the bodies are. He may know where the bodies are also, Madam Chair, but he has, over the last 10 months, Dave has taken an extreme close look at the operations of the treatment plant and has done a terrific job moving that forward, and I feel comfortable that with my departure, Dave's taking on the challenges that the Chester Water Authority has, and would highly recommend Dave for the position as of April 3rd, or tomorrow if he wants.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. Do we require a motion for that?
Yes.
May I have a motion to accept the executive manager's recommendation that Dave Krivik become the executive manager? And I have a second? Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, just a comment. Good recommendation, but has he been notified that he's going to be recommended that position?
I believe.
Yeah, I spoke to Dave earlier this week. Dave's here. I spoke to him earlier this week, well, actually last week, when I told him about my retirement and asked if he would be interested in the position. I think, and he said yes, reluctantly. I didn't allow his wife to have any say, so yes.
His wife has him say.
No. That's what I was afraid of.
I'd like a roll call vote on this one first.
Mr. Andrew,
Yes.
Mr. Brandon, Mr. Butler,
Yeah.
Mrs. Leitzel,
Yes.
Dr. Lewis West,
Yes.
Mr. McGinn,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Congratulations. Next on the agenda is new business. I'd like to call Mr. Container.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This past week, we received the latest in a series of disclosures from the Department of Community and Economic Development. This one was about 100 some pages. This is part of a continuing list of items that they're disclosing to us on a rolling basis. I just wanted to point out 4 of them and make them part of today's record. So that they're permanently part of our minutes. They answer a lot of questions. Some of them just can continue with their questions. Of the disclosures that we received this past week, page 79, the DCED had a copy of the one-page agenda for the economic development meeting between ACWA and the City of Chester on March 5th, 2020. We have asked both parties to comment on what that was about, since that occurred a couple days prior to the expected submission of so-called RFP responses or bids. Neither the city or ACWA or the receiver has ever commented on that. So that question is on the table. Who was there? What was discussed? And why was only one of the prospective responders to the RFP included in that meeting? The second item is page 84 from that disclosure. This is an email dated April 23rd, 2020. This is a couple days after Judge Angelus's decision to indicate that both the Delaware and Chester County and the City of Chester had to be involved in any decision to terminate the Chester Water Authority. It's an email from David, and I don't know if I can pronounce his last name correctly, Crowley, K-R-A-L-L-E, Government Affairs from ACWA. And the email is to Betsy Phillips with a copy to Michael Brunell. Michael Brunell is an employee of the governor's office, or was at the time. I'm assuming that Betsy was also. The email is redacted. Their email addresses were redacted by the secretary or the DCED folks. But the email is from the ACWA lobbyist to Betsy asking for a meeting between Chris Franklin and the governor. CEO Chris Franklin was hoping to have 10 minutes of the governor's time for a phone call over the next few days, if possible. We apologize for the short notice, but the subject of the call is about outreach that the Chester Water Authority has been doing to your administration on a somewhat immediate issue. So we don't know if the meeting happened, but we know what it was probably about. So we can make that part of our permanent record. The next email is on page 85 of that production. This is an email from David Crowley, and again to Michelle Brunel. This is March 8th, 2017. That's some 2 months prior to our receipt of the uninvited offer from Aqua to purchase us. So March of 2017, David, who's with the Government Affairs group at Aqua, was writing to the governor's assistant, asking him if he would have a meeting with them so that you could get, asking that the government would, it would be nice to sit down with you so Chris can give you an overview of Aqua and regulated water from our point of view. Perhaps the offer letter was brought up at that time, perhaps not. We'll find out eventually. And then the final thing is from page 89 of the disclosure. It's 2 emails. One's from Michael Brunel, that the redaction covers who it was sent to, but it's in response to an earlier email from Michael Brunel that the email address is blacked out and the person that it's to is blacked out, but it says Christopher and Kimberly, who I believe are both Aqua folks. Just wanted to send along a quick note thanking you for meeting with Rob and I yesterday. Rob perhaps is Rob Teplitz from the Governor's Office of General Counsel, perhaps somebody else, perhaps Mr. Powson. We don't really know. But they're asking for the correct contact information to follow up that meeting. That was April 26, 2017. Presumably that was a furtherance of whatever conversation occurred on March 8th. So I'd ask that these documents be made part of our record so that they indicate that perhaps there was conversation with the governor's office and Aqua before the uninvited offer even came to us. We're taking steps to find out more about that, and I'll keep you posted. But I thought it might be appropriate to make that part of our minutes so they don't just disappear when we're no longer here.
We need a motion for that to be
Yes.
part of the minutes. May I have a motion to include the solicitor's report and those emails as part of our minutes of this meeting? For a second? Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, question.
Mrs. Smith?
The documents you just read, I heard you said one goes back to 2017. When did you?
Yes.
When did you receive all those documents?
This past week.
Because in prior things, when it was request for right to know, a lot of information that I've seen in the past is blacked out. So this is some information that you could actually see the actual conversations of what was taking place.
Well, there are redactions here, but the redactions are email addresses, not the content, right? So what I've seen as a general effect in these disclosures is we make the request of the DCED. If it concerns them, there are a lot more things blacked out than if it concerns the governor's office. With the governor's office, they just gave us the whole thing, and they just blacked out the emails from the governor's office. Not that we couldn't figure that out anyway. It's a typical pattern, but the redactions mostly have occurred over these thousands of pages with documents that the DCED itself generates and then gives, or documents that the receiver is talking to the city of Chester about, and the receiver's comments are out. So, but this one is the unredacted text.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any other questions regarding it? Seeing none, all in favor? Please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Wait,
You don't need a poll?
I don't know.
You can, sure, why not?
You want to take over? Okay, fine. We'll take a roll call.
Mr. Andrew.
Yes.
Mr. Brandon. Mr. Butler.
Yes.
Mrs. Lightsell.
Yes.
Dr. Lewis West.
Yes.
Mr. McGinn.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Is there any other new business?
Not for me, thank you.
Any board members? Any old business to bring up?
Nothing.
Any board members have anything? All right, we're up to public comment. Is there Mr. Lynn?
My name is Mark Luca. I'm the president of Aqua, Pennsylvania. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you today. We have received many comments and questions concerning employees, so I thought it would be helpful if I clarify our intentions for Chester Water Authority employees once our companies are combined, should they be combined. First and foremost, at Aqua, Pennsylvania, we recognize the value and skills of our essential employees. Our people are our most valuable assets. We believe in investing in our people through competitive salaries, benefits, and professional development opportunities. We know that a company can only be as strong as its workforce. They are what makes Aqua great. In this respect, is why so many chose to make a career in our company. We have completed more than 300 acquisitions over the years, and in every case, we have kept all employees. And in fact, a number of those employees are now managers and leaders at Aqua. To those who might find themselves out of work, I would say please check our website for opportunities. We have great family-sustaining jobs with excellent benefits, and your skills and knowledge are greatly sought after, and we would welcome application for employment. To current Chester Water Authority employees, we respect your expertise, your skills, your capabilities. And should this transaction be completed, I want you to know that you will become a valued member of our team at Aqua. We are hopeful that the receiver will sign the asset purchase agreement, and at that time we will offer you a position at Aqua. Importantly, should our companies be combined, you will not be transferred to another state. You will remain right here. You know your operations, your knowledge is critical, and it will be leveraged in the best possible way to continue serving the residents and customers of the Chester Water Authority. You will continue to receive great pay and benefits. We will also provide world-class safety and training programs, enhanced career growth prospects and opportunities that you can take advantage of, as well as expanded involvement in the community. Should our companies be combined, your retirement plan will be similar than the one you are receiving right now. Our plan is that your existing pension benefit will stay with the Chester Water Authority or its successor, and part of its current plan, as part of its current plan. And the Chester Water Authority or its successor will need to set aside funds earned as a benefit until closure. As part of Aqua, these employees would receive a pension benefit under the Aqua retirement plan based on the same benefit formula as the current Chester Water Authority pension plan. Upon retirement, Chester Water Authority employees would receive 2 checks, one from the Chester Water Authority, one from Aqua. And as a final note to the union staff, we have employee members of the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 542, and the Utility Workers of America. We have fostered great relationships with our friends in labor. We've never had a strike because we know that employees are our greatest asset and we treat them as such. I encourage Chester Water Authority employees to visit the Chester Water Authority section of the aquaforchester.com website. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you again for your time today.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Nice to see you. It's so nice to see you. Nice to see you, Doctor.